Live from Phoenix, Arizona, my name is Ashley Patton, and I have the privilege of serving as Senior Public Information Officer with the City of Phoenix Street Transportation Department. I'm also the moderator for this presentation. Thank you for joining us today. I'm hopeful that you've heard Phoenix is paving more than ever before, and I am thrilled to welcome two of my esteemed colleagues to the virtual stage, both leaders of Phoenix's Pavement program, so they can tell you all about how they're executing this very ambitious program and engaging the traveling public along the way. So first, please welcome Ruben Lawley. Ruben has lived in the Phoenix area for about 20 years, coming to Phoenix from Ghana, where he earned a bachelor's degree in mining engineering. He started with the city in construction inspection while earning both bachelor and master's degrees in civil engineering from Arizona State University. Ruben holds a professional engineering license in Arizona and over 19 years of experience in civil engineering, civil construction in the aviation industry, and a wealth of knowledge in program delivery, project management, construction materials, and of course, pavement design, performance, and management. Currently, Ruben is a special projects administrator for the street maintenance division in the Street Transportation Department. Fun fact, Ruben is also a 7th degree black belt in Taekwondo and runs a local studio training and coaching competitive Taekwondo. He also coaches the ASU club team. Next, please welcome Ryan Stevens. Ryan is a registered professional engineer in Arizona as well and holds a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in civil engineering, again from Arizona State University. Ryan is currently a civil engineer 3 with the pavement management team in the City of Phoenix Street Transportation Department. The pavement management team develops the 5-year pavement program, and that keeps Phoenix's 5,000 miles of streets in good condition. The team is involved with collecting and analyzing pavement condition data, optimizing pavement maintenance treatments and timing, managing construction of pavement maintenance activities, and forecasting future conditions. A lifelong resident of Phoenix, Ryan is proud to serve his community by improving the quality of life for Phoenix's roadway infrastructure. Additionally, Ryan is excited to explore innovative technologies like our Cool Pavement pilot program to extend pavement life and improve the quality of residents' lives. During this presentation, please enter your questions in the Q&A or the chat box below, and we'll excitedly answer those questions at the end of the presentation. Without further ado, please welcome Ruben Lawley and Ryan Stevens.
Thank you, Ashley, for that introduction. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen and we'll get started with the presentation. All right, good morning, everybody. And again, thank you for joining us in the virtual Roads and Streets Conference. Here we're talking about the Accelerated Pavement Maintenance Program, including its development and the public outreach. And we're just very excited to present this information to you this morning. There we go. So the Accelerated Pavement Maintenance Program is really a 5-year program, but it started 2 years ago in July of 2018 was the inception of the project, and that kicked off a lot of research, analysis, a slew of presentations to City Council, and also involved our contractors and getting them on board with the accelerated pace that we'll be going for this project. That these are things we'll be talking about, but this is sort of a basic timeline of the project so far. And you can see we've already completed several miles of paving, and these are mill and overlay projects, our most extensive resurfacing project treatment. And we are going to continue working on this program through June of 2023. So a little bit of background. In October 2018, the Phoenix City Council approved unanimously the plan to advance $200 million of the Transportation 2050, or Proposition 104 as it was put to voters. Those funds, advancing $200 million of those funds for street maintenance and pavement improvements. We took that direction to develop a phased 5-year plan to deliver the project. And the City Council accepted that plan of attack in December, so from October to December. Finally, then later in January of 2019, the City Council authorized additional staffing resources, and we also started to explore the various contract improvements to our JOC and JOA processes, and then awarded new contracts as existing contracts would expend their capacity. This is a visual representation of what we've done. So there was a 5-year plan of our mill and overlays, and phase 1 took those outer 3 years of the plan and put them into the first 2 years, fiscal years 19 and 20. And to get moving on this work as soon as possible, we had to do a lot of prep work and coordination. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as it sounds to take action the very next day after council approves the plan, but that's exactly what we wanted to do. So the two really big tasks in getting everyone on board were coordination and preparation. So our coordination work, of course, involved other utilities, utility groups, dry utilities, such as the ones you see on the screen, our own department projects, street department projects, and of course, our water services department projects. All projects that occur in the right of way. And the goal of this coordination is to pick streets that aren't going to be cut immediately with some other improvement. That's one of the big things we try to avoid, particularly with mill and overlay projects, is cutting new pavement. The other big task was the prep work. There's a lot to be done in getting ready for mill and overlay treatments. Of course, in the city of Phoenix, we crack seal ahead of our overlays. And as dictated by the federal government and federal laws, ADA ramps, ADA curb ramps are also required to be upgraded. So it's not just a matter of accelerating getting the mill and overlay done, it's accelerating getting the crack seal done and ramps done ahead of time. So this included a lot of really frequent and good communication with our partners, again, not only in the utility community, but in our contracting community, and letting them know in advance that this work is coming. They needed to gear up and we needed to gear up as well. So with phase 1 underway and starting to be worked on, we knew in addition to accelerating streets, phase 2 was to refill the outer years of the program. So we quickly, in an accelerated level, needed to find projects for those outer years, and again, do that as quickly as possible to continue to tell our residents, you know, what are we going to be doing with this $200 million? And that is also important for us to do what council has asked of us. So one of the very first things we knew we needed to do was reach out to the community. This was a great picture of our moderator, Ashley, at one of our community meetings. And we had to do things a little differently. Although this was pre-COVID where we could do community meetings, we needed to get far into the community. So we took some innovative approaches. We worked with the council office to identify neighborhood groups, business groups, and any other community organizations to tell them about the program, particularly since we were providing the public the opportunity to provide input on this program. And again, these meetings also occurred very quickly starting in January. So again, October 2018, approval by council, and then by January we were out in the community giving presentations. One of the biggest innovations we did was to develop an interactive way for residents to tell us where they had concerns about the pavement. Of course, we're used to receiving emails and phone calls, and Phoenix is a very large city. We have a very thorough system to take in that information. But normally in a community meeting, we're used to having comment cards and phone numbers and emails to reach out to the project team. So we wanted to be innovative and allow the public to tell us wherever they are and whenever they wanted to, where they had issues that they wanted to tell us about, to help us identify these overlays in the outer 3 years of the program. The graphic here on the screen is an example of I would call a Pinpoint Dashboard, and essentially residents loaded this app over the internet wherever they were and could point to things like cracking potholes and rough streets. That information was going to help us figure out where to overlay next. After months of face-to-face meetings, we spent a lot of time, really that whole spring of 2019, engaging our public and our residents in the community. And there are two numbers that are very significant with that. 80 individual meetings. As you can imagine, every group that wanted a meeting, we provided a meeting. We had several staff in our department giving presentations, sometimes multiple in a day. And 10,000 represents the number of residents we estimate to have been able to contact through not only those community meetings, but large gatherings like the Star Spangled Celebration and other larger events that were going on at that time. So how do we fill the gap? Essentially, how do we fill the last 3 years of that program? We have the public engagement piece. Now there's also the data-driven piece of how we evaluate our roadways and pick what gets an overlay. So to do this, we use a pavement management, it's an automated road analyzer vehicle called the ARAN. It is a high-tech van with cameras and infrared sensors, infrared lasers that tell us what are the particular distresses with the street. How many cracks are there? What types of cracks are they? What is the roughness? We drive all over the city. It's a 2-year process, basically, to drive all of our almost 5,000-mile network. And this data helps us understand what treatments are needed, not just mill and overlays, but the other treatments as well. This is just another photo of the van. We've actually recently branded our van, so you'll be seeing some more information about that here shortly. And what the van at the end of the day gives us is our pavement condition index. The PCI is a score of every road in the city, measured on a 0 to 100 scale, with 100 being the best. Ultimately, the PCI and the information behind it allows us to objectively measure which streets are in the most need. So as part of filling the gap, we have two pieces of data. We have the public input and we have our pavement condition data. So what we did was put that together, and I know it might be a little hard to see on this map. But essentially the pinpoints are still located on the map, and then everything in orange were streets that were below a PCI of 70, or streets that we identified that could use a mill and overlay. And this is a very important step in putting the two things together, because there's such a need out there for work that we could prioritize where the pavement need is greatest and the public input is greatest, as long as there aren't other utility conflicts and things of that nature. That is a prime place to put earlier in the program and get those streets paved first. So we were very encouraged by how much overlap there was, and also pointed out some things that we could address, and a lot of things we did use the pinpoints also to help address immediate hazards such as potholes. That was one of the options that our street maintenance staff took immediate action to fulfill. And I believe this is my last slide before I turn it over to Ruben, but just a very brief mention about our city street network. We often look at our street network in terms of our 8 council districts. So in our almost 5,000-mile network, you can see the streets are not evenly distributed. Some have more, some have less. We wanted to make sure we were comparing with our total treatment miles that were programmed. Again, monitoring how much are in each district. Of course, there's needs in all districts, but they don't quite match up 100%. But really, it does match up very well. You see they're all about in the mid 30% range in terms of streets we're treating within the district through this program. So, and again, this is explained by various parts of the city are older or have received treatment at different times. So although we want to make sure, and we monitor this to make sure we're expending resources in all the districts, the mileage might not necessarily be exactly 100% proportional, but we do feel this is very close. And with that, I'm going to briefly stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Ruben to pick up the presentation.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm going to share my screen now. So with such a massive program and an associated expectation from our residents, we just needed to find a way to tell them how we are doing. So that they would know how the plan is and what it's going to do for them going forward in the next 5 years. There was another challenge. This was another challenge for our city staff, particularly the IT group, to produce another resource in short order, which has been beneficial to our residents. We created a pavement maintenance dashboard where you can see which streets in Phoenix is going to be paved next. It is interactive. The dashboard can also be sorted to display planned and completed pavement maintenance program across the city by council district. You can find a dashboard at phoenix.gov/pavementprogram. This allows us to be transparent with our projects or with our residents on our projects and what's going to happen. And also so that they can see their tax dollars at work. Here is how the dashboard looks like. There are 3 tabs. The first tab is a program overview, which provides information about the accelerated maintenance program in an interactive manner. Then there's a treatment tab. I'm going to try and briefly navigate the information you can get from this tool. First, the dashboards, you can sort. It has a sorting feature. The sort feature is shaded in purple on the left-hand side. The information can be sorted to display planned and programmed pavement maintenance projects across the city. You can sort projects by council districts, or you can sort projects by mill and overlay or by other treatment types. Next, the dashboard also has a mapping feature which allows you to zoom in and out of specific areas in the city. The colored areas on the map or the colored lines shows all the pavement projects, either planned or completed. Once you zoom into the area, you can click on a particular street. When you select the project on the map, pertinent information about the project, including the treatment type, the treatment year, and the physical limits of the projects can be shown. With the mapping and sorting feature, the dashboard would also provide you a list of projects in the mapped area. This will provide a quick summary of all the projects on the map. Finally, you can see how many or how you're going to, or finally, you can see how we are going to with the plan versus actual completion of the project. We have a feature that reflects the total number of miles planned for paving in the program and compares it to the actual miles to date. We use a variety of methods, such as regular posts on social media to let the public know about this dashboard tool, so that it can be used to answer all the street paving questions that might be out there. Although this tool was made for the APMP, the good thing is that we are going to use it going forward after the APMP is over. Again, the dashboard can be found at phoenix.gov/pavementprogram. So since February, we've been out there working hard to complete as much as we can of these projects. These projects are needed, so we try to do it as quickly as we can. And we know that the traveling public appreciate that we give them a smoother road in the long run. But with these projects, there will be lane restriction, congestion, and traffic backups that we realize. So that can lead to frustration for our residents. So we very much focus on messaging out these projects. We've been placing signs in the streets to make sure that they link the temporary inconvenience with their tax dollars, which ultimately made this work possible. Although many drivers appreciate these signs and the projects are an investment in our roads, we know that they may not resonate very well with them. So our creative team which includes our public engagement team and everybody here that worked on the project, came up with an alternate way to get the word out. We came up with a clever sign set that we hope will deliver drivers, give them convenience or temporary convenience, and hope that it will calm them down to deal with the temporary inconvenience. So we came up with Game of Thrones fans, what will resonate with them. Or Aladdin fans, we hope these signs can help you alleviate a little bit of that frustration and put a smile on your face. In the end, our goal was to make sure that we get pavements that are smooth as quickly as possible rolled out for our residents. These signs have been popular so far and have received great feedbacks. Unfortunately, we've come to realize that some of the signs are too popular or people like them too much. So this Star Wars sign we have here went missing. Well, for the person in our Tuki, the Star Wars fan who made up with this sign, we have these words for you, which will likely resonate in the words of Yoda. Return the sign you must. On a more serious note though, our paving program is transforming the driving experience across the city. We are taking streets like this one on Greenway Road and turning them into these streets that looks like this. Similarly, we are taking streets like this on 51st Avenue and making them look like this. But this is not just what's happening in these few areas. There are projects everywhere across the city, like this project on Southern Avenue, and this project on 7th Street south of the downtown area. Also this on Missouri Avenue. At the end of the day, we are striving to meet and exceed the expectations of our residents. So how are we doing? Well, certainly not scientific, but we have been hearing from our residents. Residents have been thankful for paving work in their neighborhoods. So we receive messages such as this, which essentially thanks us for the work we are doing in their neighborhood. And for the work on major streets like Northern Avenue, around the I-17 area, we receive messages like this. And on streets in our Tuki, because of the 202, our Tuki has seen a lot of construction in the area. So on top of that, we come around with projects. We've gotten messages like this. We thank us for the beautiful pavement that we're providing for them. And finally, up in the North Valley area, on very important corridor or thoroughfare like Cave Creek Road, we got messages like this. So it took a tremendous amount of work and team effort to get to where we are today. Our city team has done such a great job, and we thank them for the work and for the countless effort and amount of energy and creative ideas we've witnessed during this program. So here's a picture of the initial program when we started paving, the first paving season in 2019. That's April. So fiscal year 2019 and 2020 are gone. So how are we doing? Projects can extend, but the table shows that we are making great progress on the overlay and our resurfacing treatments. Prior to the APMP, we typically resurface approximately 100 miles per year. The APMP has allowed us to triple the number of miles per year on average. So in 2.5 years, we've been able to pave 1/10 of our street network. That's approximately 430 miles, and we are still counting. Here are some highlights of the program and where we've paved. So both major streets, very important road networks and corridors across the city of Phoenix. So this APMP has done us a lot of good. So we continue to keep up engagement with the public by posting on upcoming and ongoing projects on social media. Our community engagement team and public engagement team have been busy, and they're doing a great job posting these messages. Also, the APMP program was recognized this year by the city's Employee Excellence Award for the team success and individual leadership. Additionally, the GIS dashboard, the tool that I talked to you about, we talked about the interactive dashboard, received a recognition from the Urban and Regional Information Systems Association for 2020 for exemplary systems in government. So this concludes the presentation on the APMP. It's been great with the city, the staff. It's been a collaborative effort that involves our management, engineers, the IT personnel, communications and public engagement team, our fiscal staff, inspection staff, residents, and of course, our contractor partners to deliver the APMP program, which is a success story and continues to be told. So we thank them all, and we will take any questions now.
Thank you, Ruben and Ryan. I know as a resident and as your colleague, I feel fortunate that leaders like you are the ones at the steering wheel, no pun intended, for this very ambitious project. We have a few questions in the chat, and don't worry, there's still plenty of time, so please enter your question if you haven't already. The first question comes to us from John N. And John wants to know, was all the money spent solely on mill and overlay projects, or was money put aside to preserve the overlay projects once completed in the program?
Okay, I'll take this question. So yes, we are cognizant of the fact that we need to preserve the program. So we have other treatments, and there has been certain things. There have been things that have happened with our programming that is really good for us. We've invested in our street maintenance team doing work on our local street, and that gives us the opportunity to be able to strategize differently, to be able to shift resources to maintain or preserve our investment in the APMP. So, even as the APMP gives us the opportunity to bring the streets back, from fair to poor condition, we have budget available that will help us be able to preserve the investment by shifting resources that would have been used for other treatments, and that's now being done by our local or our street maintenance staff.
Thank you. We have another question also from John N. There were no full reconstruction projects included in the APMP, or at least mentioned in the presentation. So what happens to the streets in that condition?
I'll take that question. Streets in a full reconstruct condition, generally, mill and overlay is generally our most extensive treatment, but we are now looking at multiple multi-layer systems, so approaches such as pre-coated chip seal, which we call FAST, plus overlay, fiber overlay we're considering, and other innovations to address streets that are in a reconstruction need, because we don't really have resources to do many reconstruction projects. So we're actually considering other options prior to reconstruction that include, as I said, multi-layer, fiber, and sometimes extensive patching of really bad areas. But the program is focused on the mill and overlay specifically.
And speaking of various types of treatment, we have another question from Robert E. Has hot in place been considered as an alternate to mill and fill?
Okay, let me take this one. Hot in place is is part of our toolbox, but for this program, we haven't considered hot in place. We are really focusing on making sure that we treat the streets that are better than streets that need hot in place for now, because we needed to do a lot to cover the streets, the network, and keep them in good condition. So hot in place is a tool that we've considered, but we haven't done it yet. We'll consider it as an alternate to total replacement. Then we streets that fall into that category that are likely to go to the CIP will be considered for that. But for this program, yes, the emphasis was on mill and overlay.
Got it. Thank you. Please feel free to continue to enter questions in the Q&A or chat box if you have questions, but I do have a few for my esteemed colleagues that I have with me. So, no pun intended again, what about speed bumps? Have there been challenges in executing quite an ambitious program, and if so, how have you overcome them?
I'll speak a little bit about it. Yeah, certainly, we've learned a lot. Again, that upfront coordination and communication definitely was a big challenge and took a lot of time to, again, consult with our utility partners. We do still run into cases where we've got streets planned and utility companies or other projects are trying to get in and finish their work. So certainly still scheduling this work is sometimes a challenge. Of course, we're always monitoring quality of the products. So there's a lot of emphasis taken to make sure not only we're getting what we specified, but that the quality is up to our standards after we place it. So I won't say it's been totally smooth sailing, but we've been mitigating any of those issues that come up as they arise. Again, letting the public know what we're doing, particularly with COVID, we actually had an interesting challenge where we were coming in to do a lot of local streets. We accelerated our local street overlays as well. Now, all of a sudden, everybody is home. So that caused a little bit of consternation for some people. But luckily, we were able to, for a while, shift our focus back onto arterial streets. And the plus there was that less people were driving. So certainly there are always some challenges, and COVID has certainly thrown us for a loop a little bit. But I would like to emphasize through this whole year of 2020, we have been continuing the accelerated pavement maintenance program. So we've been dealing with being as safe as we possible. Our contractors as well are trying to be as safe as possible for their crews. But it gives us a little bit of an opportunity with less arterial street traffic to actually deliver a program that does have a major focus on arterial streets.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm noticing a theme here. There was a lot of transparency and communication, ranging from the contractors to the public. And something I think maybe that could be helpful for those listening was also the internal engagement and incorporating various members of the department, ranging from fiscal to me as the PIO. So can you speak a little bit about engaging your internal stakeholders and bringing together the collaboration to execute such a large project?
Okay, I will take that question. So the APMP is a big concept. I take it like a concept. One of the things, like Ryan said, that we needed to do was to make sure that after paving, we minimize how much work is done on the newly paved roads. So internally, we have all our teams that we meet regularly. I mean, weekly, and it's a huge, effort from our traffic services, our bicycle lane. Oh, by the way, there's another, opportunity that every time we pave, we take advantage of the opportunity to put bike lanes where we see appropriate. And these bike lanes maps is generated by our traffic services group. So we have our traffic services on board in our meetings so that we can schedule and program the projects accordingly. We have our construction team. We have a materials lab that comes in and tells us about how things are going and if we needed to shift. So for example, we're able to shift from, one type of mix to another in the current paving seasons based on what was happening out in the field. Our community engagement team always getting feedback from the public and coming to the meetings and giving it to us, and we adjust accordingly. So it's very dynamic. We have a utility coordination group that constantly sends out messages to the utility companies and be able to schedule their work and move it around. And because this project is massive, previously, we only pave about 100 miles a year. So we could move street easily and bring other ones in. But with the APMP, coordination was critical because there isn't too many streets out there that, does not have projects on them. So coordination was really critical. Also, we have, our development, planning and development department, they have new developments coming in. And so we have to coordinate to make sure that as much as possible, we go in or we schedule those locations before, or we schedule the locations after development projects go in. Our IT group is constantly out there and trying to improve the process and be able to improve our programming and communicating how our maps do. So it's been a massive effort, and the enthusiasm shown by everybody to make this program a success is what is very, very encouraging to see happen here.
I can testify that those are some of my favorite meetings bi-weekly, that everyone from the Accelerated Pavement Maintenance Program comes together and you really see the magic happen. We also have a question from Darren. What is the PCI average rating that the city is trying to achieve?
That's an excellent question. From a pavement management point of view, I would say, we're trying to achieve an average above 70, which we consider to be in the good range. Aspirationally, we would love all of our streets to be above a PCI 70. So there's still a lot of work to be done on both the average and, trying to get that high. But I'd say average in the low to mid 70s is our goal. But really, aspirationally, we want all of our streets to be in good condition.
The next question comes to us from Taylor, and it is about our internationally award-winning pavement maintenance dashboard. She wants to know, or he wants to know, is GIS used for the dashboard? Is it hosted on Esri ArcGIS? Do you use a collector for the Pinpoint public interaction portion?
I'll try to take some of that. So the main pavement dashboard that's up on our website is an ArcGIS story map platform. The Pinpoint app is not currently live because we're not in a public collection, feedback collection phase. But that again is something that I believe we as a department are very interested in continuing its use and expanding to other things such as streetlights, signs, or other assets. So that's something our asset management task force is also taking a look at. And I think Ashley could actually speak to our public engagement, but I think the intent is definitely to use the Pinpoint app again. And for the specific about the use of collector, I don't know that question. We'd have to get with our great GIS guru about how they built the Pinpoint app.
Taylor, if you want to contact pavement@phoenix.gov, we will make sure and answer that question for you in more detail or connect you with our GIS gurus who will. We have just a few more minutes left, and I do want to ask, since Phoenix is paving more than ever before, it seems like we're breaking records left and right. How does Phoenix continue after the Accelerated Pavement Maintenance Program? Is this pace now expected? Is it sustainable? What's next?
That is a great question, Ashley. We have a network of 5,000 miles. Phoenix used to be a young city. Our pavements were all really good. So pavements were good, they could survive. Now Phoenix is not, it's not too young anymore. So, as we all get older, we need more maintenance, right? So this program has enabled us to jump. Going forward, I believe as of now, we'll be returning to, our regular budget scenario. which means that that is the same budget scenario that brought the need for accelerated maintenance program. But you know, the good thing about the APM accelerated maintenance program is that it allowed us so that we don't have to spend more money per mile to keep this investment going. So that will hold us for a little bit, but in the long run, a sustained source of income to be able, or revenue to be able to maintain the roads going forward is what is very, very desirable. APMP was really good. This is a bump in the arm. So we're really thankful for it. And we hope that we'll have some kind of, you know, investment to be able to maintain the streets going forward. We will preserve the APMP program to perform to the best possible outcomes for the program, because when you overlay a street, typically, you know, we have a certain number of years that it should perform, and our preservation strategy would be to make those roads perform to live as long as possible. But that said, we have other roadways that were not touched, and we hope to be able to get some investment to also bring them up.
Thanks, Ruben. We did receive another question from John, and he wants to know, what is the typical thickness for your overlay and which mixes are you using?
We're using basically an 1.5 inch overlay mix. We're using our the city's D1/2 inch mix design, and right now we're using an SBS binder, but we also use some TR terminal blend rubber binders in the past, but currently we're using basically a D1/2 inch SBS. We're also very much looking forward to using a wrap mix here shortly. Actually, we'll have a wrap project here this October, which will include up to 20% recycled asphalt pavement in that SBS mix.
Thank you, Ryan. And we will wrap it up on a fun note. I'm curious if either of you have a favorite clever sign or message that we displayed. Was there a favorite pop culture reference?
I like the paving is, forget winter, paving is coming. I like that one.
That was my favorite one too. So, you know, this goes to speak why we all work in the same, you know, program. We have, yes, forget winter paving is coming. It really, Game of Thrones, I really love that, you know, series. So that resonates with me very well. You know, being from, you know, not from Ghana, you know, Game of Thrones is something that started here, you know, the series. So I really got, it resonates with me very well. So Ryan.
So it just goes to show that in the city of Phoenix, we work hard, but we also play hard, and we like to have fun too. So thank you so much, Ruben and Ryan. Any last words?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for attending, and thank you to our, you know, city leaders for, you know, making this funding available to us, and for our residents who have been patient with all the inconveniences, and also, you know, the phone messages that we get from them appreciating the work that we are doing. Not all the messages are positive, but in the end, we are all wanting the best for our residents, and we thank them for the support.
With that, thank you for attending. Have a great rest of the conference, ACEC.